How did I move to Australia as a doctor? Everyone keeps asking, how did I go from burnt out to accidentally making the best decision of my life? Honestly, I didn't have a plan, just a friend and a laptop. One cold email later, and I'm 10,000 miles from home. So this isn't just my story about moving to Australia. I'll walk you through the main ways doctors can actually come and work here. Whether you're from the UK like me, or from elsewhere, I'll explain the different pathways and what I learned along the way. Because if I can do it, you probably can too. So very quick backstory. I did 2 years working in the NHS, 2 years of foundation years, and then I did the cliche backpacker thing where I grew my hair out really long and travelled around Southeast Asia. I did this for 6 months, and upon my return to the UK, I realised I really didn't want to stay in the same system. And in fact, at that moment in time, I was kind of like, I think I'm going to leave medicine altogether. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know where I was going, what my next step was going to be. But I had one friend in Australia who reached out to me and said, you should come and work here, which is the classic NHS career plan: burnout, Bali, then maybe enlightenment. So this is exactly what happened. Essentially, my friend, who was working in emergency department in Brisbane, he gave me the roster coordinator's email and told me to email her. I emailed her something vague and generic like, I'm a UK doctor, I want to move to Australia. And one thing I forgot to mention was my connections. 2-3 weeks had passed, still no reply. So I decided to reach out again. But this time I mentioned I knew 2 of the doctors working in that emergency department. Literally within a day or 2, as soon as I'd name dropped those people, I'd got an email in return saying, great, we are actually looking to hire someone. And I'm going to be completely honest, that was basically it. That was how easy it was for me to get a job in Australia. No interview. I'm pretty sure I didn't even give any references. I just mentioned who I knew and I got the job. Of course, it helped a lot that I had 2 years of full-time experience working in the NHS. It helped massively that I already knew the doctors in the emergency department that I was applying to. And from there was a immigration officer who worked at this hospital, and she essentially sorted out everything that I needed in terms of paperwork, visa, all the boring stuff that you need to do to come over to Australia. She was basically my guardian angel in admin form. And if she's watching this, thank you so much. You literally changed my life and you made my life so much easier than it needed to be. I'll go into this a bit more later in the video, but I didn't need to do any more exams because the UK degree is recognised by the Australian system. So no AMC exam. I went down something called the Competent Authority pathway. But there are basically 3 main routes for you to get into Australia as a doctor. So route number 1 is via the RMO campaigns. I guess this is the more official route that a lot of UK doctors use to come over. And essentially what it is an RMO stands for Resident Medical Officer. And every year, each state has a campaign for resident medical officers to get jobs across the country. And it's quite straightforward. It's quite a structured process. You essentially just go to Google, you type the state that you want to work in, for example, Queensland, just type in Queensland RMO campaign. And one of the first 2 links will be the link to their portals, their website. Now, bear in mind, if you go down this route, that application windows are only open for a certain amount of time each year. So you need to check which part of the year they're actually open. So you apply via one of their portals, you wait, you pick hospitals, and then maybe you get an interview. This is like the proper way to get a job in Australia. It's very bureaucratic, and often I think that Australians get preference over international grads. But I have met a lot of UK doctors who went down this route. Think of it like UCAS, but for adults, and a lot more rejection. The second route is the direct to hospital route. And this is what I did essentially, where you email the hospitals directly, whether that's the medical workforce manager or the roster coordinator. You keep it short, you attach your CV, and if you can, name drop some of the people that you know who are already working there. From what I've seen, people who are willing to go more rurally in Australia are more likely to get a job because there's more demand and they can often be quite desperate in these rural areas for doctors. This is the fastest route to get a job in Australia. It's basically cold emailing, but with stethoscopes. And as in my experience, I found that name dropping people that I already knew working there really helped my application get seen. Otherwise, you're just a long list of many, and people really have no incentive to employ you. Proof in medicine, as in life, it really matters more who you know than what you know. So I was just editing the video and I thought it would be useful if I share the exact email that I sent to the workforce coordinator or the roster coordinator. And you could just copy the structure if you wanted to do some cold emailing to hospitals in Australia. It's nothing special. You could probably get AI to write you a much better email these days, but this is what I wrote. I'm a doctor interested in working in the emergency department of the hospital. I'm a UK graduate with 3 years of experience of hospital medicine and surgery in this country including 4 months in emergency medicine. I'm looking for a senior house officer position. Please see my attached CV. For a while, I've been planning to live and work in Australia, and I am particularly drawn to this hospital because I have heard positive things from staff currently working there. I have previously worked with doctors, and I say the name, I realise I actually knew 3 people in that department in the UK. They have informed me that you are fully staffed at the moment, but if you need a doctor at any point, please do not hesitate to contact me. I can be contacted via this email or telephone. I would appreciate if you could inform me that you have received this email, regardless of whether a position will be available. Many thanks. Yours faithfully, Dr. Chris G. And literally 3 days later, I got an email in return saying, Dear Chris, thank you for your interest in applying for an SHO position here at the doctor has reviewed your CV, and as it happens, a position has just become available and we would like to offer you a full-time 12-month fixed-term SHO position. We ideally would like you to start as soon as possible, and I will liaise with our immigration contact to see what time frame we will be looking at. If you would like to accept this offer of employment, can you please reply to this email as soon as possible? Kind regards. And that was it. And that got the ball rolling, and I think about 3 months later, I was in Australia. The third option is the recruiter route. So you essentially apply through an agency, and the agency will handle all the paperwork, all the visas. You might get slightly less control, but it's often a lot easier. And this is common for people who don't have the contacts in Australia already. Some of these agencies have even offered me referral bonuses, which kind of makes me feel like I'm part of a dodgy doctor pyramid scheme. But if you do actually want to apply via these agencies, drop me a comment, send me a message, send me an email, or leave my email in the description, because I can actually refer you to one of the agencies I work with. Just make sure that you have completed foundation year 2 in the UK. And I know there'll be a bunch of doctors watching this who won't be eligible for this competent authority pathway. If you're not from one of the chosen 5 countries, welcome to the Hunger Games. Basically, there's only a small list of countries where their medical degree is actually recognised by Australia, which includes the UK, US, Canada, New Zealand, Ireland. All the other countries, they'll need to do something called the AMC exam. Obviously, I didn't do this exam, but I know people that have done it. My understanding is there's an AMC Part 1, which is like an MCQ exam, and then an AMC Part 2, which is the clinical exam. Once they've done this, they're then provisionally registered and they can apply via the same routes that I've just mentioned, either via the RMO campaign, direct hospitals, or via recruiters. And thousands of doctors do this every year. It's a longer route, but it's definitely doable. I've seen multiple people do it. Now back to my story. Once I'd got the job, I now needed to get a visa, and I got the 189 skilled independent visa, which essentially means you're on a list of applicable jobs where you're allowed to come and work in Australia. Thankfully, my guardian admin angel actually sorted this out for me too. So I literally just needed to do what she told me. However, this was right at the start of 2020. And if any of you can remember, that's when the old pandemic hit. So I remember I had all these things set up and then the whole world shut down. It was obviously a really difficult time for everyone. And my mum really didn't want me to go to Australia because everything was kind of up in the air. She didn't know how safe things would be over in Australia. And kindly, she did let me go because she knew that I really wanted to do it. And the hospital that I applied to were still very keen to have me. So they actually wrote me an exemption letter saying why I was allowed to enter the country. Reason being, I was an essential worker, meaning that I could help the workforce dealing with COVID. However, it did delay my whole process of getting over here. I think my dates to start were pushed back quite a lot. And when I came over, I had to do the 2 weeks hotel quarantine where I was literally locked in a room with no windows that opened, no fresh air, just me and my iPhone 11 camera, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise because that's actually where this YouTube channel was born. Everyone else baked sourdough during lockdown. I started oversharing on the internet. Still, it's hands down one of the best decisions I ever made. It completely changed my whole perspective on medicine, my own life, work-life balance. I'm going to be honest with you, when I was leaving the UK, I kind of felt like I was leaving medicine entirely, but starting again in Australia really sparked my joy in medicine again. I actually saw it as a career that I could continue doing. It made me realize it wasn't the job, it was actually just the system that I was in. And it's funny to think that it all started from one cold email. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helps anyone considering moving to Australia. Drop a comment with what country you're watching from and any questions, or if you want me to refer you via my agency, they do give me like a little referral bonus for every successful person they place. If you're interested to see how much I earn as a rural doctor here in Australia, I made a payslip breakdown video here. I'll see you there, or I'll see you next week.